Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour. Brought to you by TJS Ceramic Studio, Posh Boutique in the Bridges at 57th, The Sky & Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and the Sioux Falls Arts Council. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire arts and entertainment conversations. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Thank you so much, Zach. Perfect intro number 194. That's right, countdown is now only 6 weeks until we hit number 200. That and the 4th anniversary coming up in October as well. We will have something special planned, trust me. Meanwhile, back at the Podcast Ponderosa, in a few minutes we will hear from another Sioux Falls Arts Council Artist Microgrant recipient, visual artist Emilia Van Oort. Then we'll hear from SFAC Executive Director Kellen Boice as we talk more about this microgrants and the Arts Awards coming up next Tuesday. Later in the show, we talk to Melissa Bentley about her own Art of MelJean, as well as the designs she does for wearable LGBTQ art with Queen on the Scene. But first, let's pop the cork on this bubbly little show.
Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day and your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party.
Whatever you may be drinking, whatever you may be drinking it out of it, wherever and whenever, lift them high to arts education. Yes, we're in this whole back-to-school mode. May it never become a back-burner budget item. The hours upon hours that students put in for visual arts, music, drama, dance, etc., it's long and intense, just like athletics. Those that teach them, they stay equally busy, not just instructing the groups, but also the individual student lessons and attention that they give them. Those teachers and students all deserve our attention as arts lovers. Weekend Eve Toast to arts education. The Weekend Eve Toast is brought to you by The Sky & Tea. The Sky provides all-caps fun, and that is best had with friends. Have fun playing darts, shooting pool, have fun listening to great live music from local musicians, or have fun singing karaoke, such as I did at a birthday party last weekend. Need some extra room to hold a company party or maybe a benefit? The Sky's back room fits the bill. No matter what's going on at the Sky, it's local and it's lively.
Honorable mention.
What tickled Dave's fancy bone gave him a big smile this past week? Well, congratulations to 5 local playwrights that were chosen to have their works read for this year's premieres at the Premier Playhouse. Lee Spencer, Hope Dunkel, Aviana Steen, Sarah Manson, and Richard Swanson now wait a few weeks for the judges' results to find out which 2 plays will be chosen to become fully produced next February. Good luck to all. Later on, we hear from LGBTQ artist Melissa Bentley. Before that, we talk to Sioux Falls Arts Council Executive Director Kellen Boice. Up next, we hear from SFAC Artist Microgrant recipient Emilia Van Oort on the Dave Holly Hour.
Are you an artist? Need some funding to further your art? There's a great opportunity for you through a Sioux Falls Arts Council program. The Artist Microgrant program gives away several microgrants to local artists, no matter what art discipline you're in. Unlike more traditional grants, a microgrant is very easy to apply for. Go to artssiouxfalls.org. If you haven't done so yet, create a listing on the Artist Directory, which is beneficial in its own way. Then go to the Artist Microgrants page and apply online. The process is simple. Find out more about the Sioux Falls Arts Council as well online at artssiouxfalls.org.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. Yeah, I know it's a broken record, but I try to say it in a little different pitch, a little different tone every time. But it is always such a pleasure to talk about Sioux Empire arts and entertainment. And it's been so fun over the past few weeks, and this is going to continue on a weekly basis for talking about Sioux Falls Art Council's Artist Micro Grants, a fantastic thing that helps out not only people that do art for part-time, but people that do art full-time. And we're here to talk about that today with Emilia Van Ert. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Glad to hear that. I'm doing well, thank you. And I know that you applied and you received a artist micro grant.
Yes.
What did it mean to you to get one of those?
So I had been working on this project for 3 years. I put in so much money into it, and it was really personal to me about my struggles with bipolar disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And I was never able to finish that project. And so with this grant, I was able to, first off, get Premiere Pro to edit it, but also I live off of my commissions pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to take a break from commissions to teach myself Premiere Pro and finally get it edited and finish my project.
Yeah, because Premiere Pro, that's a toughie.
Yes.
Yeah, and it
Yes.
takes a little bit of getting used to it and so forth. So what did the video include then?
I worked with a lot of different artists, and I hand selected them based on their talent. It was music, dancing, and visual art. And it was just about my struggles with bipolar disorder. And all these people were so excited to help me make this, amazing piece of artwork. And I'm so thankful to them. And yeah, it's just, I'm really thankful to the Arts Council that I was able to finish this project.
And, here's the thing, we like to ask, what would you tell somebody that's thinking about getting a micro grant? And it's very, very simple. It's perhaps in terms of getting grant money, the simplest grant you'll ever apply for.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so simple. And I mean, you can do anything with that money. The
Right.
possibilities are endless. You can get art supplies. You can start a project. You can finish a project. You can, can take the time to finish something with that money.
Yeah, which was the case for yourself
Yes.
then, because not only, you needed it in terms of the time,
Yes.
but also, physical things that had taken place that you needed to have some supplemental income to get along the way.
Yes.
And so that, obviously, we say to get along the way, but it actually went a long way for you, didn't it?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so tell us about your artwork then.
About that project or about
Your projects in general then.
Okay.
So people get an idea of what some of this money's going to when it means that, we're giving it for supplemental income
Yeah.
or, something that we don't just go, oh, somebody needed some paint and some brushes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with this project, like normally I'm a painter. I do oil paintings and sometimes I do drawings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I make my money. A lot of it's from commissions. I do like portraiture and flowers, stuff like that. But with this project, it has been worked on for 3 years.
Yeah.
I put thousands of dollars into it.
Probably
And so-
thousands of hours as well.
Yes, yes. It was so intense, and it was such a long process, like painting all this furniture to go into the project. Like it was crazy. I had piles and piles of furniture in my small 1-bedroom apartment. I had to like climb over couches and stuff to get out of my place. But yeah, the money just meant so much to me because everyone worked so hard on it, and I hadn't been able to finish it so that people could see everyone's hard work. And so that money just meant everything to me after 3 years.
And as we mentioned, you are a full-time artist.
Yes.
So it was almost kind of like having, I don't mean make it sound this way during the equation, but it's almost like you had an insurance plan
Yes.
because of this.
Exactly. I could take the break from, instead of because I live from, commission to commission pretty much. Instead of doing a commission for, that week, I could take that off to learn the program and, finish this thing. So it means a lot.
What got you into art?
I'm trying to think. So my mom is an artist. She was a painter, and she actually went to Augustana University. And I watched her paint growing up. I didn't actually get into it, though, until college. For whatever reason, I started off as a music major, then went to art my junior year, and I was a photographer. I knew Photoshop, and that's kind of why I thought I could probably figure out Premiere Pro, even though it still took a while. And I kind of became known for doing these crazy Photoshopped, photos, and was published and all this stuff. And then eventually I just needed something that took more time and focus. And so I tried painting, and I loved it. And to be honest, I don't even know how I came up with this idea for this project, which I describe it kind of as like a moving comic book, because the makeup was like comic booky, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Cartoonish.
Yes, exactly. And so was the furniture and set and everything. I'm not sure how I came up with that idea, but I think I just really wanted to work with other artists in the community in a meaningful way. And that was my way of doing that. And because of that, I was able to meet all these people, because I didn't know most of them. I just reached out randomly, and everyone said, yes, I would love to be a part of it. So I got lucky.
Yeah, and we find out so often on this show that we talk about, collaboration, not competition.
Exactly.
And it's so great to see how people will work with each other and help out each other. And that's a fantastic way to, definitely applaud what takes place in the arts in Sioux Falls. Yeah. And by the way, I understand that you are one of the nominees for one of the Arts Awards, too.
I guess.
Correct? Wow. Well, that's
what
great.
Kellen just said, yeah.
Okay.
So
well, that's
really
fantastic.
cool.
Wish you the best.
Thank you.
But
You
in the
too.
meantime, well, thank you. Yeah. I don't know if we're same category.
I have no idea.
Anything like that. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But it's great talking to you. And it's easy to see that the passion that you have for art is definitely heartfelt. So, like you said, that project that you were working on was a very personal piece to you. Do you find that your pieces become personal regardless?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like just based on what I'm going through at the moment. Because, I mean, I have bipolar disorder, so I have highs and lows.
Right.
And it's really hard. It's a struggle every single day living with this. And so, I think you can see that in most of my pieces, honestly. Yeah,
but they apparently go well because you're making the living off of it.
Yes.
Yeah, but obviously you want people to also make your living a little bit better.
Yeah.
So if someone wanted to take a look at your art, do you have a website that they'd be able to go to, or what's the best way to find out what Emilia's art style is?
Well, I pretty much post most of my stuff on Facebook, and I have a lot of followers on there. But if you really are interested in the bipolar, project, and everyone that was involved in it, I would suggest going on Facebook, because it's almost right up there with all my other stuff. So.
And where can they find you on Facebook then? What's it under?
Emilia Van Art.
Okay.
Yep.
You want to spell that out for people?
Yeah. Emilia. And then VAN space ERT.
All right, fantastic. Well, great talking with you. Congratulations on, first of all, the micro grant that you received, but also for being a nominee. I mean, that means people appreciate what you're doing then.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on your podcast.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah. And sometime down the line, we'll probably do a full segment with it instead of just these micro grant ones. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much. And we will be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Check out the new ceramic studio in Sioux Falls, conveniently located off Kiwanis Avenue on 5th Street. TJS Ceramics. We have thousands of classic vintage ceramic mold items and several new items too. TJS Ceramics offers classes through the Sioux Falls Community Education Program and special open studio nights every Thursday evening. Bisque, studio time, or finished custom items are available. Visit TJS Ceramics Studio in Sioux Falls today.
Helping women feel empowered and confident is what Posh Boutique at the Bridges at 57th does, while supplying high-quality clothing that fits your lifestyle, personality, and price point. Whether you want comfy and cozy, casual attire, or something for a special occasion, Posh provides quality, selection, and value. They carry sizes extra small to 3X and have something appropriate for any age. Feel empowered and get confident. Posh Boutique at the Bridges at 57th.
Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463.
It's the podcast that creatives in the Sioux Empire listen to so they can learn more about other creatives. It's the Dave Holly Hour.
You got it. It's always great and a pleasure to talk about Sioux Empire arts and entertainment. Always great to have this lady on, too. And it's been a while since we've had her on, but not that we haven't been communicating for the past year, Kellen Boice.
Yes, definitely we've been talking.
We have been putting something together that now people are hearing, all about the micro grants.
Yes.
And getting to hear what the fun stuff and unique things that people are using their money for to further their art.
It is incredible. It's like kind of a mixed pot, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's people that are using it to purchase equipment, to buy software, to buy materials, to take classes. And I don't want to spoil it. I mean, there's just like everything under the sun that you could think of. And that's really the point of the micro grants, is to support artists where they're at and for what they need the funding for.
Yeah, and it's you can tell from the people we've already had on that they love it. And not just because they were recipients, but because of the actual program itself and what it can mean to all their other artist friends and in the community as well. So,
yeah.
Is it as much as you thought it would be, or better than you thought it would be?
Oh, better. Yeah. I mean, I remember when we talked with the Sioux Falls Area Community Foundation about this particular project, like the micro grants to begin with, because they were the initial funders of this program. And they had asked us if we thought we'd be able to find enough artists to give the money out to. And I had no doubt that it wouldn't be a problem. But we had so many. I mean, to date, we have 350 applications that have gone through. We have funded over 80 plus of those. And it's just an incredible thing. And we're looking at, I mean, with the original funding, along with some other additional funding that we have, we're going to be able to fund this program till 2026, which is a big deal. At
this point, then.
So we're going to keep growing it and just really identifying what the other needs are in the community. And one of the things that we recognized just from the last year and a half is that a lot of artists are submitting for projects that are bigger than themselves. And so there's a component in there of a community funding thing that needs to happen.
Right.
So we would love artists to be able to apply for microgrants as individual artists, but also maybe for an additional funding or something that's a little higher amount than $500 to support community work. Maybe mural work, maybe workshops and classes that they're doing with other organizations that are doing different services in the community. Just seems like it's much bigger than just individual artists trying to supply their own work. It's also about our community and building a stronger community, especially for the arts. Yeah,
well, as I told today's guest, Emilia, it's like it's nice for people that aren't necessarily in the arts and entertainment world to understand what artists need, other than just, they want to buy some brushes and some paints, and all the things that are available for them to do so now.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of funding for this, and particularly this funding is really important because we do it quarterly.
Right.
So some of the other funding that I think a lot of the artists are familiar with come from the state, and they do that annually, and so it's not as revolving as this can be, and they can change their mind. Right. If one quarter they don't get the micro grant, they decide to change their application, they're more than welcome to do so. We'll just replace it. And so it's been just a really great way, a flexible way for artists to do the funding thing. But it just makes more sense to us to do it in that way because we realize like things change, right? Over the course of a year, it can, your ideas will change or artists get creative, right?
We hope they continue to do so,
they
too.
do, yeah.
But this is one of the great ways that the people can is by having that availability of some supplemental income to help them out, because I still think there's a great majority of this community that don't know that we have so many in the arts and entertainment community that do this as their living.
Yeah, I mean, it's not... We'd like to grow that number, right? Where people could really rely on their arts for a full time, for their continuous funding. But I think it is eye opening to see how many artists are doing it. I mean, you're getting close, Dave. I don't want to not recognize that. I mean, just what you're doing here, supporting the arts. I think that there's a lot of artists that want to shift to that. So if the micro grants can help people get a leg up on that or to start that, we are all about it.
That's wonderful. All right. That's not the only thing we have to talk about, though. My goodness gracious. Coming up on the 29th, so that's next week. Wow. So quick. You've got kind of, and it's funny because it's going to be at the State Theater, and let's just say it's a bit of a double feature because we get a movie, but then we also get awards that we're going to talk about. So give us the lowdown of the awards and the arts evening that's coming up on the 29th at the State.
Yeah. So biannually, we do these awards in the arts, and it was 2 years ago we held it at the Pavilion, and it's just a really great opportunity to highlight local artists. One of the great things about it is it's peer-based nominations, so anybody that's going to receive an award next Tuesday will have been nominated from the community. So it's not the Arts Council deciding who gets to be selected, which is really exciting because I think anytime you can give a voice to the people, they'll uplift the people that need to be seen, which is great because we don't want to be in charge of that. And I think that's really important to recognize. And a bigger part of it, not just the awards section, is just the nomination process and uplifting those artists and say, look at how many wonderful people are in the community doing great things that deserve to be recognized. And we'll start actually rolling those out by tomorrow because today is the last day for nominations, which this is Monday. And I think we're just excited to see what that pool looks like. So this year we had kind of a different thing happening because we are actually pairing our awards event with a film that we were helping support earlier in this year, and it'll be the screening of this film, documentary film called Elevate, which follows 4 artists in our community, and they're actually past microgrants recipients, and so it gives a little slice of life, or a little it's a little of a documentary about these 4 artists in the community, and it's 30 minutes, but we'll be doing a panel discussion afterwards. And I just love the idea of having it at the State Theater. I think that's really important to support that. And if you haven't been to the State Theater, it's a really great opportunity to like sit down in those seats and never want to leave. So what a great to pair these 2 events together. So Elevate will be the first event, and then we'll do a little cocktail hour and some music, and then we'll start our awards ceremony, and then the evening should conclude about 9:00. So
all right, nice night then.
Yes.
Yeah, and the thing about the State Theater is I think this will be very interesting from an awards standpoint because the people that have been to the State understand that they have nice seats that recline.
Yes.
And you can crack a beer.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, in somebody, if they get an award, will they have to get out of the recliner first before they get their award?
Yes, I mean, I think we might make prompts for people to, if you were nominated in this category, you might want to
put the seat down. Yeah,
put your seat back up. And I think that's just such a lovely space. Again, I mean, just all the history around Sioux Falls within that theater, being able to utilize the big screen there, which is fantastic. And then to tie in some of the, our performances throughout. So generally we do awards, but then peppered throughout the awards ceremony, we actually have live performances from artists, spoken word poets, dancers. We've got a lot of things that we're going to be releasing that information soon. So I can't give you the lowdown today,
all right.
But just finalizing those things. So it's really more than just awards. It's really a celebration of all things creativity in our community.
How many awards are there then?
So there's,
in terms of categories, etc.
So there are 4 categories. So you have the Individual Artist Award. Then we also have an Innovation Projects Award. So innovative projects being, I'm trying to think of some from the past that we've had, and I'm just drawing blanks as I'm saying. So I'm going to move forward. The next one is our Forwards Arts Award, which is for businesses and organizations that are doing great things that are supporting the arts in our community. And then the 4th award is the Charlotte Carver Lifetime Achievement Award, which is a really special award named after one of our long-term board members, and one would argue, the matron of the arts here in Sioux Falls, Charlotte Carver. So those are just a few of those things. We have a really great, every year we do the awards, we select an artist to create the awards. And this year, Tony Millette has created the award.
Oh, nice.
And he's a ceramist and a woodworker and just an amazing human being. And so we're so excited to unveil these beautiful sculptural awards that people will be taking home if they're selected in those categories.
You know what's great? I love the words that you used, and it comes up so often when we talk about particular artists, or not even particular artists, but majority of them, and an amazing human being too. And I love the fact that we get to personalize that art is a personal thing that's meant for the public.
Yeah. I mean, it's aesthetics, but there's a human behind everything, right?
There's a story to everything.
Yeah, and that's something that we're trying to focus more on with the Arts Council, hence the documentary, Elevate, is really, we see things on the street or you maybe hear their music, but who are these people that are the creatives in our community? And I think when you can start really realizing that there's a beautiful story behind that, it makes the art even more impactful. And I mean, I personally like to buy original artwork from artists, from their hands.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing to do because I take that piece home with pride, and then I have a wonderful story to share with my friends and family who come to visit my home or come into my space. And I think that's, if we can tie those emotions to that more than just what they look like, I think that just is the best.
I'm running out of wall space in my home studio, though.
Yeah, right?
Although I did have somebody say that they were going to reserve one of them. So, yeah. It's like, okay, well, bring it on then.
Yes, it's very hard. Yeah, we just had Art Collective, and I think that's like hard to walk through there and not leave with your hands just full.
Yeah. I go through, and that's where my love and I end up getting lots of business cards. And then we go back home and go, oh, remember that? That was really cool. Okay. Or it becomes that person needs to be on the show, and so forth.
Yes,
so
yes.
It's a great way, for those artists to network, but also for them to get an opportunity to be seen. And that's another event that is growing too.
Yes. And the support for that from the pavilion is incredible, to see them taking artwork off the walls to allow local artists to put artwork on the walls to sell, which is kind of one of those things. It's like kind of magical, right?
It's very magical.
Yeah, it's a very cool thing. It's fun to see that program evolve.
All right, so we've got the micro grants, we've got the Elevate movie that's coming out to go along with the Arts Awards on Tuesday, the 29th at the State Theater. What else? Because, it's been a long time since we've had you on the show to talk about, Sioux Falls Arts Council in general. What are the types of things that people don't know about the organization?
Oh, boy. I think two of the bigger things, and one that, I mean, it's something that we do and we've been doing for several iterations of this, is the Arts and Economic Prosperity Study, which is maybe people have seen me and my crew out there handing out surveys at different public events for the arts, specifically ones hosted by nonprofits. And that is data that's collected every 5 years. In this case, it was every 7 years because of COVID. So they pushed the surveying back a little bit, but we worked with 6 other arts councils across the state to collect data that will be rolling out. I think around October, we'll start seeing those numbers. And what's interesting about those numbers is because sometimes we have to talk about the arts in a way of what's the economic impact. And it's never my favorite thing to talk about, but it's something that exists, and we support those efforts at this point of showing like what do people spend when they come to a Levitt show or go to the Pavilion for a Broadway show or any other arts nonprofit events. And it just paints a great picture for some funders and some businesses that want to see that in order to support the arts. My other favorite conversation is just supporting the arts because we absolutely love it, right? And that's something we're moving towards. And I think, again, going back to that storytelling, Dave, is that what we're really passionate about now is, besides the economic impact, there's that personal story. And to me, I think that's where the gold is. That's the gem right there that we need to talk more about and invest our funding into telling those artist stories and making sure that people know who they are and what it's all about.
Yeah, when you said businesses supporting and so forth, that made me think of the fact that, something that we see now in businesses and we see in restaurants and bars, we see art now. Whereas, maybe 2 decades ago, we didn't.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that can iterate and get better, right? I mean, those are just kind of what I would consider like toes in the water as businesses that are providing wall space for artists to sell their work. But what does that look like when businesses start commissioning art? So, or, I think there's some models too, and I don't know every ins and outs of, performing in the bars and the restaurants in the community, but giving business owners this idea that it's worth putting your money in towards that, to paying those artists to be there, because the ambiance and the what that brings to their business is so important. And so just valuing it more of like not a cherry on the top kind of a thing, like, oh, that'd be nice, but this is just as important as the electricity and the piping. It's like really the heart of your business can come from the arts. So I think that's something that we're hoping to help move forward.
Yeah, I think we're getting to be an arts community from your standpoint, and then as you take a look at things like tourism and other states and what they're doing, are we getting to the point that we are an arts destination?
Such a loaded question. I think aesthetically, maybe we have things that we can point to that will bring tourists in. But I think if you really want a thriving arts community, we need to provide more support for those individual artists. And I think the big shiny things are great, and that's going to get people there. But like live work studio spaces for artists, that's huge. And we don't have that right now. I mean, if you look to Minneapolis and to the great state of Minnesota, they have a lot of funding that comes from the state level. And that's something that I think, we could always strive for more, is more funding. And it's one thing that we do get some funding. I think that's great, and don't want to discredit. There's so many great things happening right now, but how do we push that further? How do we really become an arts destination? Is really supporting those artists and providing more funding opportunities, providing more space for artists to work, because they really do carve out the greatest spaces, right? I mean, our downtown was pretty bleak at one point. And of course, yes, development came in, but those developments are led into artist areas. I think I've heard that so many times of real estate agents looking to see where the artists are hanging out because that's where they want to invest yet. And I don't know if I'm happy with that conversation necessarily, because we're talking about gentrification and all these other things that are really affecting our community. But I think it's to be said, if we really want to keep this rolling, we need to really put our money where our mouths are as far as funding and supporting the artists. I mean, through what we're doing with microgrants is just a toe in the water, Dave. We could do so much more, and we need to be doing more in encouraging at a city level and at a state level to continue to think bigger. Because if we want to tote that name of the arts mecca in South Dakota, we really have to start doing more.
Yeah, because I know that you and I have very similar thoughts on that in things that need to be here in town.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, we've got to be getting close, if nothing else. You know, because with how much it's growing, and maybe it needed that growth before anything else, before we could get to the point of calling ourselves an arts destination. It's still the fact that we're doing it. And, you know, we've got a lot of people that want to be doing this and get it going even further. We just need some support in some other areas yet.
Yeah, you know, and 1% for the arts would be great.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of different models that other states do have that help support these, and taxes are one of them, and that's like a 4-letter word in our community, and I get that, but it's one thing to talk about, you know, I'm going to put this painting on the wall, or I'm going to support this one effort, but really there's so much more that has to happen. And I think, we're just there. I'd love to say we're done. I would be out of a job. And actually that should be my goal in life, is to not have to work anymore, right? Is to
True.
When I feel like things are going so well, I can quit my job, which would be great. But we just have a long way to go. But I think it's worth the journey and the battle. And I think there's a lot of artists that are sticking around. But that's another one thing I worry about. Without having that support and that, thinking that forward, we do lose artists to different communities because they see the grants that they could be receiving in Minnesota, and they move there so they can get those, which is unfortunate because that could be happening here too.
Very true. All right. So we've talked about the Arts Awards. We've talked about making sure that you hear about microgrants, which is just phenomenal. And by the way, I love the fact that the microgrant is one of the easiest things you can ever apply for here.
Yep.
It can be done online. But the one thing that you should do if you're going to apply for a microgrant is make sure that you list yourself as an artist in the artist directory. How many are in the artist directory now? That thing's got to be getting pretty big.
It is. There's an ongoing thing with my board that if I hit 300, then they'll buy me lunch, which is something I've been working towards for a while. I have been eating. Trust me, I've been eating food, but it's kind of one of those things, you can lead a horse.
Right.
And it's not that difficult. And actually, we worked with an incredible web developer to create a new website. So when you go to our website, and he's made the process much easier to actually apply for the for everything that we're doing, but also to navigate our website and to get on that artist directory. And that's just about as easy as it can get now. So we're looking forward to finding more and more artists. And that's the real gem about it, is you can register on that as a artist, and you can link to your social or any of your websites or anything that you're doing, your Patreon or whatever that is, and put up to 4 images and leave it there. And so when we actually get approached by other businesses and or say like Avera is looking for artists, it's hard for me to say, oh yeah, well, you know who you should talk to, Emilia, she's amazing. Well, she is amazing, but that's not my place to be picking one artist out of the whole pot of artists that we have on there. But I can direct them to that website and show them, like, look at all these amazing artists in our community. They can search them by their artist discipline. And then what we also do is we then offer those businesses or organizations that are providing opportunities to be added to our email list. So we email all of the artists from our artist directory a list of opportunities at least once a month, sometimes more, of different things that are coming up. Maybe their auditions, calls for art, other opportunities. Sometimes job postings will come up on that. And that's another way for us to support the artists as living, working artists that are here doing things in the community, because we want them to stay around.
Oh, do we ever?
Yes.
Because we love our art. There's no doubt about that. What makes art make you happy? What when you decided to become executive director of an arts council, why?
I have no idea. I'm just kidding. I've always had an affinity for the arts since I was a little girl, and although I don't find myself as being the best creator of art, I've always just been drawn to it. It's been something that's really impacted my life at a young age. And I feel like anytime I can support the arts community in Sioux Falls and help an artist get to where they need to go or make the connection that they need, that's my gem. I mean, the kind of art that I create is very interesting. And most people that know me and have experienced some of the pieces that I've worked on, it's a little out there. So as a creator, I don't create a lot, but I'm very passionate about helping others create and making sure that they have what they need to do so.
All right. The usual 2 questions at the end of the show. So when you're not part of the arts community, what do you like to be entertained by?
I don't know if there's a lot of my world that exists outside of that, but I mean, it is. Yeah. It's when you're. I mean, just like you and your wife go to every single. I swear, you go to every single performance. I admire you so much for that. But it, I do. I'm a big part of my neighborhood association. Mm-hmm. I just ended up somehow becoming president of the McKinnon Park Neighborhood Association. So we're to be determined if that's a great thing. And that's kind of a nice flex because it's working directly with my community. So part of that was a little outside of that role was organizing our neighborhood rummage. So I'm really passionate about sustainability and, recycling and a neighborhood rummage seemed like a really good way to check a couple of those boxes. So we just had our 5th annual neighborhood rummage. We got signs this year, so I thought that was really cool that we
moving on up.
We are doing all the things. We probably will never be as big as Kingswood, but the goal is to just, get neighbors to go shop each other's stuff, to have fun, and it's real lighthearted. But we had 34 houses on that, which I thought that was really incredible. We really highlighted that. So some of the community service, right now I'm not volunteering with a lot of different organizations, but I'm also president of the nonprofit that I came from, the Sioux Falls Design Center, and we just helped fiscally sponsor a program called Say It Loud, South Dakota, which highlights women and BIPOC workers within the built environment. So that's from electricians to plumbers to architects to interior designers to artists. Mm-hmm. And that show is actually going to be coming up here, I think September, October. And then that show will travel the state. And it's Beyond the Built Environment was created by an architect out of New York, one of the few Black women architects like in that community that has really decided to take her voice and help elevate a lot of other individuals like herself in the community. And so she tours these shows. So they collect the information from the community and then they present it on these panels and it'll be at the pavilion and then it'll move to Rapid. I think the Doll is going to be presenting it and then maybe at the Rotunda at the Capitol. I think that's where it's going next. So it all feels like work, though. I don't know how I can, but those are kind of where my passions are. Yeah. And then, of course, spending time with my son and my partner.
You've got a little one.
I do have a little one. He's still around. And we like to tote him around to different things. So he was at Art Collective with us. He's actually sat through a couple plays now, which we're pretty proud of that he can sit through. He loves the Levitt. So he loves to dance. So
Bo's becoming a big boy.
He is. He's 4, and so he's got a rhythm. He's got it in his hips. He can do some things, incredible dance moves at his young age. And I think it's because like when he was a little wee little one, when he was first a newborn, we played like between like classical and Daft Punk. Mm-hmm. So we played a lot of like different types of music, and then we kind of called music education at the dinner table where we ask Alexa to play us whatever random song we can think of. And he usually ends up, we end up spending about an hour dancing around in our kitchen. So the arts are definitely ingrained in our home and within my community. So it's hard to get away from it.
All right. Kellen Boice, Executive Director of Sioux Falls Arts Council. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Comedy magician and hypnotist Jesse Moffat's right. He can't play the piano, but he can sure entertain crowds with his amazing magic and clever quips. His shows always make the participants the stars, especially when they've fallen asleep on stage. They've been hypnotized. Are you the party planner in your group? Then you owe it to your group to make the event magical, even if it puts you to sleep. Here's how.
For booking information, go to Jesse Moffitt Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSEMOFFITT. Or call 605-929-0964.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation. 605-332-9235 or exokairos.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
For him, every day is a holly day. Here again, Dave Holly.
Welcome back, everyone. Always such a pleasure to talk about Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment. You know I'm going to start off saying that every time we have a conversation because it's true. It's just the way that it is. And it's always great to have a new guest on with us. And from Queen on the Scene, we have Melissa Bentley. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you. How about
Glad
you?
If I were any better, I'd be twins. Yeah, I always love using that line. It's one I actually stole from a guy I worked with about 25, 30 years ago. But
hey, if it's good, you keep it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and if it's good, you keep it. And you're keeping a lot of great stuff for the LGBTQ community in terms of wearable art.
Yes.
Yeah, not just, it's not just visual art. It's the fact that you've got pins, you've got shirts and so forth. And so how did this whole thing start then?
Well, I think it was about, I want to say, almost a year ago now.
Mm-hmm.
I actually ran into Quinn, owner of Queen on the
Right.
Scene, and we had known each other from Pride. I had always stopped by their booth, everything like that. So, but we had got to talking and discussing, and they were looking to build out more of their pins. They wanted to expand their pin line overall and kind of reach new audiences. So we started getting together, and we have a new pin line, and we're actually we just came up with the division of it. It's going to be Kink on the Scene. And so we're kind of dipping into that that community because I can authentically represent that side of it. So ever since then, I've kind of been working with them, and I had the pins at Art Collective this weekend.
Yes.
They went over really well.
I was going to say, well, first of all, it's when you see your booth, it's bright. You've got the rainbow colors and just colors in general. Everything kind of pops out at people, doesn't it?
Yes. Yep. I have all of my artwork, my visual art, Art of MelJean, have all of that up there. And with where we were able to hang it on the wall. So I have it literally surrounding me, in front of me, behind me, everywhere. And then myself on my person, I usually always wear some form of a rainbow or whatnot.
Yeah,
so.
it always, as my wife says, ABB, always be branding.
Yes.
So, if you're wearing your merch, it helps selling.
For sure. And I, yesterday I had a shirt from one of the fellow vendors. And so kind of helped to cross-pollinate in that kind of a sense.
Right, yeah.
So if people say, oh, I love your shirt. Hey, you know what?
This guy's a
few booths down that way, you can get your own or that sort of thing. So
so it's great that this art collective is. How often are the shows now?
These happen. They've been happening twice a year for a while now.
Right.
Yep. It used to just be in the fall. I was actually just talking with my husband, Travis, about it, because he's been going to them since they were pretty much initiated, and so they happen twice a year, and so there will be another one before the end of the year, I believe.
Yeah, and I envision it even more so. I just have the feeling with the crowds that have been there, the fact that you've got the pavilion, to be able to have that in a pretty good sized space for all of you.
Yep,
But
that is a hefty space.
Yeah,
So
but that space is starting to get filled up, too.
it is. We had, the last number, it was just over 80 artists.
Wow.
In that one room. Well, we had that big room and then the little one off to the side as well, on the third floor of the pavilion. So I really enjoyed being able to just hang my stuff on the wall because my big canvases and those sort of things they take up a lot of space.
Right.
So trying to, even with the 8-foot table, there's just not enough space. And so being able to fill up that wall helps quite a bit.
Yeah,
So, and I know
doubt.
it helps fellow artists as well, being able to do that.
So your pin collection for Queen on the Scene, now Kink on the Scene as well.
Yes.
Obviously we don't want to use some of the things that some of them say, but, give us an idea of what people can expect when they stop by your booth sometime in the future, or they want to go online and order some of these. What are the big sellers and so forth?
My favorite ones are the pride flags. They're a unique way of displaying the pride flag. It is an open mouth tongue. It's actually modeled after the owner, Quinn. And we just have the different flags actually on the tongue. So, we have your general rainbow flag. We have, as of right now, we have the rainbow, pansexual, bisexual, lesbian, polyamory, the trans pride flag, non-binary, and asexual. But we are working on probably a dozen more.
Okay.
Across different.
Like an ally pin too?
We do have.
You do have. Okay.
Yep. We have a kind of a little banner ally pin. We may look into doing the tongue for the ally pin, but there's a few other ones that I kind of want to get in there first. But yeah, we in my mind, I can think of probably another dozen tongues that we want to get out there.
Are you seeking tongue models?
Nope. We are going to keep the pin modeled after the owner because that's the consistent thing throughout.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I love them. I love being able to. I actually have some keychains here, and I just have all of the ones just displayed. And since working with Quinn, I had extra material and extra canvas and that sort of thing. So I actually made like some key fobs, and that's what I have here. And so being able to kind of display a whole row of them, because over the years, like I said, I had stopped by their booth and had my own collection already, and now working with Quinn is just like, oh, well, now I have just about every single one. So I need somewhere to put them, but I liked being able to change them out rather than like put them on a jacket or things like that. So
how important is it for the LGBTQ community to have a source of art, to have pins, to have T-shirts and so forth?
I think it's very important. Just a visual representation. Quinn has always said that it's speaking without words. Like you have it on display, you know exactly. You can find your crowd, you can find your people, and just be like, oh, I recognize that, So and to be able to have one, like a unique way of being able to do that that's based out of Sioux Falls is really cool to me, and being able to work with them to expand this. And we're looking at out of state events and things like that to bring these to Vend, and we're vending at more local events as well, rather than just Pride, because this is an all year thing.
True.
Not just Pride. So we want to be able to give that representation to our community whenever we can.
All right. Well, they are always, like I said, the booth is bright and beautiful in every way. And I guess that's why I get attracted to it, being an ally and having so many friends that are in the LGBTQ community. And
we like to bring a little
them.
color to your life.
Yes, you do. Yeah, no doubt about that. Dave, you can't always wear dark purple. Sorry. Go lavender.
It's a different shade. It's still a color.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And what got you started in art then?
Oh, man. Art, I've been doing that since I was little. Like I had markers, and I just thought about this the other day. I work more in an abstract sense.
Uh-huh.
And when I was little, I would take markers. I would take the black one, scribble a shape, and then take the color ones and fill it in.
Oh,
yeah.
My.
So,
you are right up David's alley. I do that. This is the Dipsy Doodle production studio, by the way. Yeah, I actually learned that a long time ago. I was when I worked at Kello AM.
Okay.
And had an easygoing morning talk show. And we would have these booklets as you go through to find guests, strange things and so forth. And it was talking about how doodling is good for you. And so I called that person and had him on the air. And I said, well, what kind of doodling you do? She says, I just kind of take this dark pencil first and just let my hands go free and try to fill it in. And then I fill it in with the colors. And I thought, well, God, that's something I can do. And it's been relaxing. I don't do it as often as I would love to.
Right.
But still, it's like, you've got a few things that don't look bad.
Well, and I'll do
Except,
that.
I started that like when I was 40. You started this probably at 4.
Probably about then, yeah. But it's obviously progressed from markers and paper to paints and canvas. And I actually have a signature picture that I take because I always get paint on my hands, regardless of what I'm doing. So I kind of have my palm facing me, kind of over what I'm working on, and then focus on the hand, so they can't really it's a sneak peek.
Yeah,
but you see made another mess today.
Yeah, they got to start the imagination, which is which really plays into then you being more of an abstract person in your artwork and so forth. Because as you can see, we've got an abstract up here.
Yeah,
and I loved. My wife and I both think it looks like our cat.
I can see that,
you can see that,
yeah.
Though? But people, when they take a look at an abstract work, everybody gets a different idea.
Exactly, and that's the biggest thing that I love about abstract, because I had something in mind, an emotion, a mindset, something to that effect when I was making it. And that's what I think of whenever I see it. But someone else is going to walk up and say, you know what, I see this. Right. And it's like, that's perfect. I made a painting a couple years ago that was kind of a dark background, and it had like white handprints on it and things like that. And it was me kind of, the white handprints represented like pulling me out of my own mind. Can't say the name of it, but it was to that effect. And someone else was like, oh no, they were a huge like horror movie buff and everything like that, and the background was like a dark red with the white handprints, and so they thought horror film with it, and they're like, nope, I gotta have that. So I actually had to make a copy, because one person bought the original and they saw the original and they're like, I need one. And so I kind of made a copy for them. Yeah So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you get do people ask you to make particular paintings?
I do have commissions every now and then.
Okay.
A lot of, most of them lately have been, I really loved that piece that you did. Can you recreate that only in these different parameters? And so I actually have one starting up in September. It's going to be a 3-piece one that I've made. In the last few years, I've started putting rope into my pieces.
Mixed media stuff.
Yep, as you saw in there. So the 3-piece I'm going to make is actually, it's titled Bound by Sense, or Bound by Senses, and it's a play off of rope bondage, but it also has the senses. So the rope is over the eyes, over the ears, and over the mouth. And so it's, a play off of the 3 monkeys.
Right. What kind of reaction do you get on something like that?
All positive so far, honestly.
Good.
People look at it and they're just like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Or maybe use a different word than cow.
Cool. Yeah. And with the rope, art, I get one of two responses. It's either, oh, that's so cool, you've added macrame to your art. And I'm like, kind of. And then the other response is, oh, that looks like this thing over here. And I'm like, it's more that thing over there. But depending on the response, I know where to take the conversation.
Oh, true. Yeah, very true in that regard.
Yes, I am a multimedia artist.
Yeah.
Or, yes, I am a rope bondage artist. So it just depends.
Which either way works, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
As long as we
Same
sell that
principles,
piece.
honestly,
But,
because
yeah.
a lot of the knots are similar and that sort of thing. It's just the origination where it comes from. So.
Being commissioned, that has to be one of the better feelings for an artist.
Yes, very much so, because it's like, I love your art so much, I need to pay you in order to make me one. Like, just reaching out. I love when people buy my art from a show, something like that. But if they've seen something that I've made and they're like, nope, I need something like that, only, change it to, whatever colors or something like that I want. Yeah, it definitely an ego boost and just like, thank you.
Yeah, that is the great part of it, no doubt.
Yes.
It's always good to be complimented, to know that what you're doing is worthwhile.
Validation.
Validation. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for.
Yes.
But that always helps, and it helps you then in the selling part of it as well.
Yes, very much.
And I will compliment you on that.
Thank you.
In terms of, when you go to not even so much an art show, but when it's an arts and crafts.
Yes.
And you walk in and the people behind the booth are just kind of expecting you to just buy something. And they don't, hey, hi, hello, how are you? Oh, yeah, well, this particular piece was, and it's like, so good for you. That,
Thank you.
That is, and you got a great personality, too. So, that helps sell things.
Thank you. I was in customer service for a while, so I can kind of, those transferable skills, right?
Yes.
Like you take those on and, well, that didn't work, so I'm gonna go this way. And, it's always, well, you get more flies with sugar than vinegar, right? So, and just, talking to the people, because that's
right.
That's, what people want. Like if you're, I don't care. Like if you walk up to my booth and I like your dress, I'm going to say, I love your dress. Not just because you're going to buy something, but just being able to talk to people. And I've had great interactions without even a sale. And that's one of the biggest things I take away, especially from Art Collective or any art show like that, just being able to find those different people to have those discussions with.
What is the importance to you? Because we talked about the fact that, there's validation. You get that feeling, anytime you sell something or just a great conversation and so forth. But what about when you put something down on canvas or multimedia or however you look at it? What is going through your heart and soul?
It really depends on what's happening in my life. In high school, it was a lot more writing, but I was going through harder, deeper, heavier stuff, at the time.
Right.
Then I hadn't channeled into my creative side as far as creating art with that. So since then, it's been, okay, I'm going to... I have a draw to red and black. I'm gonna make something with red and black, and sometimes it will be a vision in my head, like the one with the white handprints that I talked about. I knew I wanted to have darker red on the outside and lighter red on the inside, and kind of a swirl effect, right? And like some splatters and stuff like that. So sometimes I'll get that kind of image in my head, and I'll be like, okay, I know what to create now. And then once I get that, I'm like, okay, now what? So I've always said that I go off of my emotions a lot, and I put a lot of my emotions into my paintings. So it just kind of really depends on the day. And
yeah, well, you know, and that's what you hear from a lot of artists. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the fact
we put ourselves into our art.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be.
Yes.
Art should be personal.
For sure.
For the artist and the person buying and putting the art on display in their own home. Mm-hmm. It needs to be personal.
And I think that's, you know, going back to reasons for abstract, it doesn't have to, you know, it's not a fruit. It doesn't have to look the specific way. It can just be a paint splatter, and it's, you know, that's happiness because it's, you know, or an angry slash on the canvas is anger. You know, it doesn't have to be a picture perfect type.
Right.
Of creation.
All right. So if people are interested in your creations, whether it's Queen on the Scene, Kink on the Sing, or Scene, I think I missed something in there, and your own artwork then.
Yeah.
Where can they go?
I am on Facebook and Instagram for my personal art. It is Art of MelJean, MELJEAN. And then if you go through the posts in there, you can get a link to Queen on the Scene. They have their own Facebook and Instagram, and then you can find, you know, link in bio type of thing to get to the website if you want to purchase any of the pins that way. And we will have the Kink on the Scene pins available there as well. And we'll be posting updates all the time.
Yeah.
We also have a newsletter that you can sign up for. So just check out some of my most recent posts and you'll be able to get signed up for that as well.
Good stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Now, I always like to end with two questions.
Okay.
The way question number one is answered predicates whether we're going to need, finally thought of that word, predicates. It determines whether we'll end up asking the second question or not.
Okay.
But when you're not part of the arts and entertainment scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
I love the drag shows that we have going on, the burlesque shows in town. Love going to those. The energy is addictive.
Yeah,
very
vibrant,
electric.
yeah.
Yes. And also music. I love music. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have a particular genre?
Not really.
Good for you. Seriously, I tell the story a lot, but it basically, and I don't want to take away a whole bunch of time, but it basically comes down to the fact that I always tell people when they ask, well, what's your favorite music? I always say, good. Yeah.
Yes. I was in choir and band and stuff throughout college, and so I have a wide array of what I like. A lot of times I will go like the 90s alternative and rock, but I do, Pink is one of my favorite artists, so the list of things I won't listen to is shorter than the things that I will.
Yeah. So. All right. So then, besides that, any other hobbies?
I am community involved. Kind of goes hand in hand with the Kink on the Scene aspect of Queen on the Scene. So I have hobbies within that. So.
All right, fantastic. Melissa Bentley, thank you so much. Appreciate your time and appreciate your art.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
My pleasure. And we'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Check out the new ceramic studio in Sioux Falls, conveniently located off Kiwanis Avenue on 5th Street. TJS Ceramics. Bisques, studio time, or finished custom items are available. Visit TJS Ceramics Studio in Sioux Falls today.
He's never met a meal he didn't like. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Thanks again to all our guests, Emilia Van Kellen Boice, and Melissa Bentley. The biggest thanks always goes out to you for listening. Thanks for downloading, as this episode should put us over the 15,000 mark. Thanks as well for sharing and following on social media and those cups of coffee. If you haven't so far, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. For all 194 episodes, go online at davehollyhour.com. As the Sioux Falls Arts Council says, together we art. As Arts South Dakota says, home is where the art is. As I say, put some art in your heart. Remember, my name is Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by TJS Ceramics Studio, Posh Boutique, The Sky and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and the Sioux Falls Arts Council. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, simply buy Dave a cup of coffee. Go to davehollyhour.com and click on the coffee cup icon. Don't forget to stay up to date on the show by following on Instagram and Facebook. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.